Шановні українці,
Dear Ukrainians, today we continue to work for our common victory. I want to explain what is happening with the humanitarian corridors, which we have been trying to open for a third day in the direction of Mariupol, Kiev and other cities. Yesterday at midnight we received a letter from the Russian Federation in which they proposed taking into account the personal request of the President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, to declare a silence regime from March 7th, 2022 and open the following humanitarian corridors. From Kiev, Hostomel, Rakivka, Sosnivka, Ivankiv, Orane, Chernobyl, Gomel, with subsequent delivery by air transport to the Russian Federation. From Kharkiv, Nekhotiivka, Belgorod, by rail and road to selected destinations or points of temporary accommodation. From Sumy, Sudzha, Belgorod, and then by rail and road to selected destinations or temporary accommodation. This information has been sent to the specialized structures of the UN, the OSCE, the International Committee of the Red Cross. In the morning, there was information that the Russian Federation was opening humanitarian corridors for humanitarian purposes and a ceasefire was being introduced from 10 a.m. This is an unacceptable option for opening humanitarian corridors. Our people will not go from Ivankiv, from Dimar, from Vyshgorod near Kiev to Belarus in order to fly by plane to the Russian Federation. Hope that French President Emmanuel Macron understands that his name and sincere attempts to help the civilian population of Ukraine as well as foreign citizens of China, Pakistan, India and many other states are in fact being used and manipulated by the Russian Federation. In response to such a letter and appeal, we sent our vision of how humanitarian corridors should look like, and we are ready to open such corridors from 10 o'clock today. In search of salvation from the humanitarian catastrophe that has appeared in connection with the constant shelling by the armed forces of the Russian Federation of residential areas of Ukrainian cities and towns, people have been leaving for the west of Ukraine or the countries of the European Union every day since the beginning of the invasion. At the same time, people who live in the cities that are surrounded by the armed forces of the Russian Federation don't have such an opportunity. In this regard, Ukraine asks for the establishment of a regime of silence and the opening of humanitarian corridors from 10 a.m. on March 7th, 2022 for the evacuation of people, including citizens of foreign states, including more than 2,000 of students. From the city of Bucha, Borodyanka, Irpin, Dimar, Ivankovo, Kiev region and Kiev, with subsequent departure by rail to Lviv, Uzhhorod, Ivano-Frankivsk. From the city of Mariupol, Donetsk region in the direction of the city of Zaporizhia, Mariupol, Portovske, Manhush, to Nikolske, Respublika, Rozovka, Belmak, Polohe, Orikhiv, Zaporizhia. From the city of Volnovaha, Donetsk region in the direction of the city of Pokrovsk, Volnovaha, Valerianivka, Novoandriivka, Kirillivka, Ugledar, Pokrovsk. From the Sumy city in the direction of the city of Poltava, Sumy, Olubivka, Olshana, Nedrigaliv, Korovinci, Romny, Andriashivka, Lukhvitsa, Lubny, Poltava. From the city of Izyum, Kharkiv region, Izyum, Hrushevacha, Panutino, Lozova. From the city of Balakleya, Kharkiv region, Balakleya, Gusarovka, Pervomayske. From the villages of Liptsi and Strelecha, Kharkiv region, Strelecha, Liptsi, Tsirkuni, Merefa Ring Road. From Kharkiv with departure by rail to Lviv, Uzhhorod, Ivano-Frankivsk. Also in Ukraine, preparations were made for the delivery of humanitarian cargo to the cities of Melitopol and Berdyansk, Zaporizhia region, Kherson, Sumy, Mariupol, Volnovaha, Donetsk region, which also requires the opening of humanitarian corridors. We ask to confirm the readiness of the Russian Federation to open the humanitarian corridors and to ensure that the ceasefire regime is observed for their safe and unhindered passage for the civilian population and transport. We also sent this letter to our partners from the International Committee of the Red Cross, the OSCE, the UN. We demand that the Russian Federation stop manipulating and abusing the trust of world leaders such as Emmanuel Macron, such as the leaders of China, Turkey or India. We demand that the Russian Federation accept the options of our routes as well as establish a ceasefire, which we will agree on. We demand from the Russian Federation to conduct opportunities for humanitarian corridors, along with which humanitarian supplies with medicine and products will go, which must be provided to our residents of Mariupol, Kherson and all cities of Ukraine. I appeal to the Russian Federation, stop manipulating the lives of the civilian population, give the opportunity to open humanitarian corridors and people to save themselves, their children. I appeal to the leaders, to Emmanuel Macron, who is really trying to help Ukraine. I appeal to Boris Johnson, Mr. Biden. Please help in opening humanitarian corridors that will save the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, including foreign citizens. Ukrainians, I understand that you are now somewhat disoriented by the statements circulated by the Russian Federation through its media. I ask you to believe and rely only on official sources of information provided by the Ukrainian authorities. You will be notified in advance about all openings of humanitarian corridors. Please understand this for your own safety and the preservation of life and health. Glory to Ukraine.